Hello everybody, welcome back to Embetronics. In our previous video, we have discussed the introduction of the Linux and its device drivers. If we want to work out on the Linux device driver, then we need to have a hardware which runs on Linux. Unfortunately, most beginners might not have the hardware, so we will help them to learn the Linux device driver with the laptop. Also, we will do the same programming for the Raspberry Pi. Right now, we don't have the BeagleBone board, but it is not required now. We will add the BeagleBone board tutorials later, or you can use the same examples and build with the BeagleBone toolchain. If you have the Raspberry Pi, then go to the next section of this video to set up the Raspberry Pi. If you don't have the Raspberry Pi, then you can set up your laptop. If you have set it up already, then you can skip this video and go to the next video. First, we will set up the laptop. We need to have a Linux OS in our laptop. If you don't have that, we will install the Linux through VirtualBox. Please install the VirtualBox. Then, download the Ubuntu OS from this website. For this demonstration, I am going to use Ubuntu 20.04.3 LTS. I have downloaded it already. Open the VirtualBox and click New. Give your desired name. We have downloaded the Ubuntu 64-bit version. So set the version as 64-bit and click Next. Provide the RAM size. I am giving half of the available RAM. Then select the Create a virtual hard disk now. Select virtual hard disk. I am setting this as a dynamically allocated memory. Then provide your ROM size. Then go to Settings, General, Advanced. Set the share clipboard and drag and drop as a bidirectional. Go to Systems, Processor. I am giving 4 CPUs to this Ubuntu. Go to Storage and select the empty. Then we have to add the Ubuntu that we have downloaded. You can add the shared folder. It will be useful for you. I am not setting it now. That's all. Then click OK. Let's open it. Click Install Ubuntu. Select your language and keyboard layout. Here you can keep normal installation if you want to load all the extra applications. I don't want that, so I am selecting minimal installation. This is also optional. Select the erase disk and install Ubuntu. Select your location for the time zone. Then create an account with your details. Now it is installing Ubuntu. Okay, it's done. Restart the Ubuntu. We have installed Ubuntu. Let's configure the Ubuntu. Now we will install the guest additions. After installing the guest additions, restart the Ubuntu. Our Ubuntu has the Linux kernel 5.11. Now we will install the basic applications that are useful for building our Linux device driver. Install the build essential. That's all. We have installed Ubuntu, which has the Linux kernel. we can use this. If you have the Raspberry Pi, then we will configure that now. Download the Raspberry Pi imager, which flashes the Raspberry Pi OS to the SD card. Then install that. Insert the SD card into your laptop. We will erase that first. Now we will install the Raspberry Pi OS to the SD card. Select Raspberry Pi OS 32-bit. Choose your SD card. Then click Write. It will take some time as it will download the Raspberry Pi OS. Wait patiently. For me, it took around 1 hour. It's done. Open the SD card. You can see the Raspberry Pi OS files. I am not going to connect to monitor. I am planning to use my laptop's remote desktop connection. For that, we will need to get the IP address of the Raspberry Pi. Create an empty file called SSH. It should not have any extension, so delete the .txt. Then create another file called WPA-supplicant.conf. Copy this content and paste it to the file. In this file, put your Wi-Fi's SSID and password. If you don't have the Wi-Fi router in your home, then use your mobile's hotspot. Then eject your SD card and insert it to the Raspberry Pi. Then power up the Raspberry Pi. It will take few seconds to connect to the Wi-Fi. Install the Fing application on your mobile. Open it. Then click Scan for devices. See, we got the IP address of the Raspberry Pi. Now open the putty and give our Raspberry Pi IP address. Connection type as SSH and port number is 22. Then open it. The username is Pi and the password is Raspberry. Now we got the terminal of the Raspberry Pi, but our aim is to use the remote desktop connection. So install the XRDP, which will help us to use the remote desktop connection. We got installed XRDP. Let's open the remote desktop connection in our PC and provide the IP address. The username is Pi and the password is Raspberry. See here, we got the Raspberry Pi desktop on our laptop. Set it up. Open the terminal and check for the kernel version. Our Raspberry Pi has a Linux kernel 5.10. Now install the Raspberry Pi kernel header. We need this to build our Linux device driver. Finally, we set up the laptop as well as the Raspberry Pi. If you have the BeagleBone board, then you have to set up the BeagleBone toolchain in our Linux machine. This is enough now. In our next video, we will write our first Linux device driver. If you like our content, please subscribe to us. If you have any doubt, please comment below. Thank you. See you in our next video.